you all are in the happy position of being authors in a city like Bangalore, which surveys tell us that it is literally the largest market for books in India. You know, we have so many bibliophiles here, and it's considered the book capital of the country. And we have a strong literary legacy here as well. So given this, I wanted to ask you, why is there so much of a passion for books in Bangalore?
Well, I think one of the things, of course, is that, we have this prevalence of so many bookstores in Bangalore, and the juxtaposition of all these bookstores in one street, pretty much, and then you have bookstores like the chains that are spread around the city and so on. So, this whole phenomenon of Bangalore turning into this book capital, is probably because of that. Because you have a lot of people who come from outside Bangalore, and then they're charmed by this whole idea of this road that has bookstores on either side, and that there are book events, and there's so many things happening all on just one street. I mean, so I think it kind of like creates a bit of a kind of hype about the whole thing, and then people kind of are lured by that, and they discover that it's not really hype, that a bookstore is a beautiful place and that reading is a fantastic thing to do. So I guess that's how the market has been building here.
When I'm writing, I'm a very selfish writer. And when I'm editing, I keep the reader in mind. That I do primarily from the point of view of ease of reading, simplifying words, the flow of things. That is what it is. But I do keep the reader in mind in the very initial stages of ideation. Of course, the idea has to be something that it's a story that I want to tell, or it's an idea that I want to share, sure. But is it also something I wish someone had told me? So those different themes have to match together for me. So I'd say, yeah, I'm a selfish writer, but a more cautious editor.
Mostly, for me, it's very important that I am not bored by what I'm writing. So I have to make sure that I'm entertained by it myself. And I write in multiple genres, but I kind of, I think I'd be very bored if I didn't have to read, especially romance. I write a lot of romance, and I read also a lot of romance. I tried this initially, when I was first starting out to write, I didn't read anything at all while I was writing. And then I realized that I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, so I can't imagine not reading. I have to figure out a way to separate what I'm reading from what I'm writing. Mostly, for me, it's very important that I am not bored by what I'm writing. So I have to make sure that I'm entertained by it myself. And I write in multiple genres, but I kind of, I think I'd be very bored if I didn't have to read, especially romance. I write a lot of romance, and I read also a lot of romance. I tried this initially, when I was first starting out to write, I didn't read anything at all while I was writing. And then I realized that I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, so I can't imagine not reading. I have to figure out a way to separate what I'm reading from what I'm writing. Mostly,
that parents need to kind of make sure that their children understand. I mean, you can't force a child to read. If a child is inclined towards stories, and all children are. Children love stories. They have an enormous appetite for stories. So it needs to be fed, and it can be fed through audio stories, it can be fed through children's stories, it can be fed through comics, graphic novels, whatever. So the parent has to make the effort to identify what is it that the child wants to read, and then make sure that the child has that.
For me, in my writing, personally, I think it's the journal writing that has really worked for me. It's the butt on seat for that 1 hour in the morning, and you write. Even if you have nothing to say, you write. And when that becomes a daily habit, you realize you actually do have a lot to say. That does lead to a lot of clarity in your mind about yourself, the world around you, understanding things that you never thought needed clarity. So writing in that sense has been a best friend and a confidant, a guide, a healer, everything for me.
I think books open up your vocabulary or give you the sort of identification, to express what you're feeling. Especially if you're a young adult, if you're in your teens, and there are certain things that you're going through, but you don't have the vocabulary to express it. And if you do have books that tell you that what you're going through is a certain thing, I think that's how it helps. Where books give a sense of relatability and it gives children that sense of identity, I think. But I think what happens is, books help open up conversations about difficult topics. And also, I think books make certain things which are scary when you are on your own, but when you are reading it, it makes it kind of acceptable to talk about. Or, you can maybe just discuss, what I read in that book. Like things like, abuse or something like that, something where, children find it difficult to express, but if they've read it in a book, they might feel okay talking about it.